Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively uncommon grass poison-type Pokemon Foongus and its uncommon evolution Amoonguss, the two collectively known as the Mushroom Pokémon. Though they might appear to be more than a bit quirky and difficult to take seriously, the members of the Foongus family are still unique creatures that can make the most of their odd camouflage to confuse and entice others into getting close.
Foongus have small, stout, fleshy beige bodies with a tiny pair of arms, oval-shaped black eyes, and a round pink mouth with a tiny opening and thick lips. The top of their fruiting body is crowned with a large domed cap with an iconic red and white Pokeball design that stands out from the rest of their form. Their evolved form, Amoonguss, have a similar body form but with larger, more animalistic eyes and spotted marks on the top of their patterned head with a brown lower base. They are noted for their thin arms now being adorned by a pair of shield-like caps that copy the same design as the head cap of their fruiting body.
The resemblance between Foongus, Amoonguss, and modern capture devices is often quite startling to trainers and is often seen as a bizarre coincidence, but in truth, it is no coincidence.
Although early capture devices were efficient at containing Pokemon with no problems, they all had to be opened manually. While the apricorn balls available to some did not possess this problem, they were tedious to make and therefore not fit for mass consumer demand, which was increasing to staggering levels and beyond as time went on. Professor Westwood V of Celadon University was a young researcher in 1925 and was attempting to solve the problem on his own, but he found himself unable to come up with a design and required a bit of relaxation outside of Japan in order to clear his mind before returning to the problem. His trip took him all the way out to Unova, where the same issues were equally present. According to official records, he was startled on his vacation by the appearance of a Foongus and Amoonguss while on a walk, and instantly took their strange coloration to heart. When he returned home, he used their body patterns as the base for what we know as the modern Pokeball. A capture device not only with a button that, when pressed, activated an internal mechanism that allowed the Pokeball to release its captured contents when thrown into the air or ground with enough force, but also a design that could be mass-produced at a fraction of the cost and time needed to create apricorn balls. Needless to say, the simple design catapulted the man's fame across the world and was eventually used by a little-known corporation at the time with an exchange of permission for company shares to boost the company into the big leagues and eventually make it the most prominent manufacturer of capture technology in the world. That company today is known as Silphco.
Despite this inspiration, it must be noted that these creatures are still fungi first and foremost, as noted with their only base ability, Effect Spore, though they are also known for the remarkable regenerative abilities and in turn access to Regenerator as a hidden ability.
As far as their combat abilities are concerned, in looking at Amoonguss, it can be seen that they underperform in nearly all areas, which is not totally surprising as they tend to rely on their toxins and unique moves to make the most of themselves in battle. Still, they are not without merit, as they have a surprising degree of stamina to work with, and in turn have an above-average base HP stat for a fully evolved grass and poison-type Pokemon, and in fact, the highest base HP stat out of all non-legendary poison-type Pokemon, so they can at least take a decent hit and potentially cripple the opposition before falling in battle.
Foongus are actually quite shy and prefer to remain hidden from sight, so they do what they do best: act like mushrooms.
Out of all known species of Pokemon, Foongus are perhaps the most closely related to natural mushrooms in terms of both bodily structure and nutrition sources. However, they are quite different from regular mushrooms in that, aside from being self-aware, they are capable of utilizing photosynthesis to produce energy, which in turn allows them to use moves such as Solar Beam and Synthesis. This tends to be their primary source of fuel when stationary, especially when forced to remain still in fields devoid of rotting plants. Foongus are rather weak and exceptionally slow, and are thus easy game for the few predators that can stomach them. In fact, for many years in the late 1800s and early 1900s, it was believed that they might actually go extinct. The advent of modern capture device technology, however, has made predators more wary about going towards these creatures. After all, it's not like many Pokemon would want to run the risk of accidentally getting captured inside of an empty Pokeball. Perhaps as a result of this new fear, the population of Foongus has steadily increased to that of relative uncommonness, a far cry from their days as near extinction. Nonetheless, if threatened by a predator, Foongus will act immediately and douse their opposition in a toxic spores as a defensive tactic. This rarely does much to save Foongus from larger predators because of their ridiculously slow movement speed, but it is still an effective way of inducing fear and surprise, Plus, it is noted that if the spores are thoroughly dried, they can be used to make medicine for stomach issues.
Although Amoonguss are surprisingly close in relation to normal mushrooms, they are a bit more different than even fungus are, because, while being self-aware and capable of utilizing photosynthesis, Amoonguss are also carnivores.
We're not spending most of the time staying still near actual capture devices. The way in which Amoonguss lure prey is both silly and, or at least at one time was, shockingly effective. They dance. The colorful patterns on the limbs of Amoonguss are designed to entrance prey and lull them into a false sense of security, making them want to join in. When the prey gets close enough, however, Amoonguss quickly douse them in toxic spores, pummel them with their limbs, and devour them. Inside, their prey is slowly dissolved by a toxic acid and broken down into essential nutrients, hard parts and all. Those that manage to escape their attacks are not fortunate either, for if the spores are not washed off quickly, they will rapidly develop into mushrooms wherever they land. Unlike Foongus, however, the number of Amoonguss in the wild has actually dropped slightly over time. As with Foongus, this too is due to the advent of modern capture devices. The fear caused by the symbolism of the capture device design on their bodies, which protects Foongus, prevents Amoonguss from easily surviving. Prey today simply don't want to be anywhere near that sort of design. As such, Amoonguss must hunt constantly across a wide variety of environments and hope that they find prey young enough, or at least stupid enough, to fall for the little dance. Trainers really have to worry about mistaking these creatures for empty capture devices, as their head alone is far too large for a normal Pokeball. Nonetheless, those bold enough to purposefully uncover an Amoonguss had better be prepared to receive a shower of spores immediately upon touching them.
Foongus and Amoonguss not only have somewhat funny names to them, but are just funny to look at in general, and their cute small size just adds to the effect. Whether they are stationary and hoping to be ignored, or are actively dancing around to try and bring others close, they are fun to watch and even interact with, at a distance. And I do mean, at a distance. While they might not get much in the way of potent offense to use to attack others with, they more than make up for it with a number of potent techniques that can help cripple opponents and keep them from attacking so readily, including Stun Spore and Spore. Moreover, the fact that they can eventually get access to moves like Synthesis can keep them in a battle for a while, and Solar Beam is always great for a friend in need of a bit of sunshine power. The toxic nature of their forms and behavior can make them problematic to handle at close range, and as long as that factor can be embraced, these little fungi can prove to be more useful than they might appear at first, even if it does take a while for them to reach adulthood.
While they might not exactly be seen as the biggest of threats to many, the members of the Foongus family are nonetheless intriguing creatures who have more connections to modern-day life for trainers than some might think. Coming across them in the wild might come with an unwelcome surprise in some cases, but their unique access to poison and grass-type powers not seen in other fungi nonetheless makes them worth considering for a party slot in the right hands.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure to have fun with them at a distance. They might like to party a bit when fully evolved, but if they aren't fed consistently in this case, that dance may be one of the last things you see before your head is made into a meal with a quick dose of poison and a sudden introduction to their acidic insides.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.